Most gardeners still think plants only give you food, shade, or oxygen. That's the limitation. The real mistake isn't under-fertilizing or over-watering. It's ignoring the fact that soil itself is an energy system. Every healthy potted plant is running a biological electrical network under the surface, and if you tap into it correctly, you can generate usable electricity, enough to power a small LED, continuously. Before we get into how this works and how to build it properly, make sure you're on my email list. The link is in the description. That's where I share practical builds, gardening systems, and we've got an upcoming project specifically designed for seniors who want easier, low-maintenance setups. Details are in the description, so don't miss that. Now let's break down what's really happening in the soil. Plants don't make electricity. Soil microbes do. The plant isn't a battery. It's the fuel supplier. Through photosynthesis, plants convert sunlight into sugars. Up to 40% of those sugars don't go into leaves or fruit. They're pushed out through the roots as exudates, carbon compounds that feed microbes in the soil. Bacteria break down these carbon compounds. During that metabolic process, electrons are released. Normally, those electrons move randomly through soil chemistry, but if you insert two different conductive materials into that soil, one acting as an anode and one as a cathode, you create a microbial fuel cell. Electrons begin flowing from one electrode to the other through an external wire. That's electricity. This isn't theory. Universities have been studying plant microbial fuel cells for over a decade. The output is small, typically between 0.1 to 0.8 volts per cell. But it's continuous as long as the plant is alive and the soil ecosystem is healthy. The system fails if the soil is sterile. If you try this in bagged, sterile potting mix with synthetic fertilizer and no biological activity, output drops dramatically. This system depends on microbial density. You want compost-rich soil, real compost with fungal strands visible and an earthy smell. Organic matter should be at least 5 to 8% by volume. A 5-gallon pot works well, and honestly, larger pots increase output because you increase microbial surface area. I've tested this in 3-gallon, 5-gallon, and 15-gallon containers, and the 5-gallon is the practical sweet spot for balcony or patio setups. Electrode placement matters more than plant choice. People often assume you need a special plant, but you don't. Any vigorous, healthy plant that pushes strong root exudates works. Tomatoes, peppers, herbs, even grasses. What matters more is electrode placement. The anode, typically a graphite or carbon rod, goes deep in the soil where oxygen levels are lower. Anaerobic conditions increase electron release. The cathode, often copper or another conductive material, sits closer to the surface where oxygen is present. You're creating a redox gradient. In simple terms, the deeper soil becomes the electron source and the upper soil becomes the electron acceptor. Connect the two with wire and you complete the circuit. One pot won't power much, but systems scale. A single microbial fuel cell pot may generate about 0.3 to 0.6 volts, an extremely low current. Not enough to power even a standard LED directly. But here's where practical design comes in. You wire multiple pots in series to increase voltage. 3 pots wired in series can push close to 1.5 volts under ideal conditions. Add a low-voltage boost converter, inexpensive and widely available, and you can step that voltage up to 3 volts to power a small LED. The output is steady, not high. This is not about running appliances, it's about proving a principle. Soil is energy. With a capacitor in the circuit, you can store charge during the day and release it steadily to keep a low-draw LED glowing continuously. In testing, small red LEDs, which require less voltage, perform best. Moisture management determines stability. If the soil dries out, electron flow drops. If it's waterlogged, oxygen balance collapses. You want consistent moisture, similar to what you'd maintain for tomatoes or herbs. Think damp sponge, not soaked mud. In my setups, I water normally as part of plant care. There's no separate watering system required. That's the key advantage over conventional batteries. As long as the plant lives, the system regenerates itself. Now, why isn't this mainstream? Well, this technology won't replace solar panels. Output per square foot is low compared to photovoltaic systems. But it has advantages solar doesn't. It works in shade. It works indoors under grow lights. It runs 24 hours a day, not just when the sun shines. And it improves soil biology instead of extracting from it. The reason you don't see garden centers promoting this is simple. There's no recurring consumable, no fertilizer dependency, no specialized equipment required beyond basic electrodes and wire. Once built, it runs. The real value isn't the LED. Powering an LED is symbolic. The real value is understanding energy cycles in soil. Once you grasp that microbes are constantly exchanging electrons, it changes how you garden. You stop sterilizing soil. You stop overusing synthetic salts that disrupt microbial balance. You prioritize compost, mulch, carbon inputs, fungal networks. Healthy soil becomes not just productive, but active. And the same principles that generate electrons also improve nutrient cycling, water retention, and root resilience. Practical build example. Here's a simple functional setup. Take a 5-gallon fabric pot filled with compost-rich soil. Plant a vigorous tomato or pepper. Insert a graphite rod 6 to 8 inches deep near the center. Insert a copper rod 2 to 3 inches below the surface, spaced several inches away. Connect wires using alligator clips. Test voltage with a multimeter. You should see measurable output within 24 to 72 hours as microbes colonize. Repeat this in 2 additional pots, wire them in series, positive from pot 1 to negative of pot 2, and so on. Feed final positive and negative into a small DC boost converter set to 3 volts. Add a low draw LED and small capacitor for smoothing output. Once stabilized, the LED will glow continuously. The brightness won't blind you, but it won't shut off either. Long-term stability improves with soil maturity. Just like compost, this system strengthens over time. In month 1, output fluctuates. By month 3, microbial colonies stabilize. By month 6, voltage readings become more consistent. The longer the soil ecosystem remains undisturbed, the stronger the performance. This is the opposite of conventional batteries, which degrade over time. Here, maturity increases function. What this teaches serious growers: we spend so much time focusing on inputs, fertilizer schedules, nutrient ratios, lighting cycles. But the most powerful systems in nature are cyclical. Plants feed microbes, microbes cycle nutrients. Electron exchange happens constantly beneath our feet. If you're already growing food, this is simply another layer of understanding. And once you start thinking in systems, not products, everything improves. The broader lesson: this isn't about replacing the grid, it's about decentralization. It's about understanding that even a single potted plant is part of a complex, self-sustaining energy network. When you build systems that regenerate instead of deplete, they compound over time. That applies to soil, that applies to gardens, and it applies to how we design our homes. If you want more practical systems like this, gardening builds, woodworking projects, and especially the upcoming senior-friendly project we're releasing, make sure you join the email list in the description. Subscribe to In the Beginning for grounded, real-world methods that improve soil, reduce dependency, and build resilience from the ground up. Because once you understand how living systems actually work, you stop gardening against nature and start building with it.